template here.
So is Kevin an employee now?
Yeah,
He is now, okay.
okay, roll with the meeting and I'll.
Okay. Roll call.
Daring,
Here.
Hilbert,
Here.
LaFever,
Here.
Foley,
Here.
Woodruff and Rich, absent, and Redosa.
Present.
You have a forum.
Okay, adoption of agenda.
I'll make a motion. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Okay, public meeting participation rules. I don't think there's any public here. And you can talk as long as you want, Kevin. I know you won't talk that long. Okay, approval of minutes, June 14th, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Norm,
I'll second.
Larry, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Okay, public comment. Anybody on the visiting guest from?
No,
No.
nobody online.
Okay, anything else that I don't think we have any other public comment, do we, Nathan?
No,
Okay.
actually, I could probably just take point if you want.
Go for it, yes.
Okay. Well, as always, thank you very much for your service. Tonight, I felt that in speaking with Denise, she gave some documents. I think we sent everything out previously in email. So I believe, did the last month's meeting get a bunch of attachments?
Yes.
Yeah. So if there's any hard copies, and I'll make sure that that gets forwarded on to you as well, Matt.
Thank you.
But since the conversation in terms of marijuana is in its infancy, she had some things and it really didn't jive for tonight. So I felt if nothing else, I kind of knew that Kevin had been talking about coming here tonight, so I can make some introductions to the newest member of the planning commission and our building department as well. Starting with Kevin Pauley. Kevin, you're coming to your second full month, you know, under contract with the Charter Township of Alpena, providing as it stands right now until the gracious Betsy Free. I know that Don, I've talked to Don a little bit, so you tried to early apply.
Well, yeah, comical, to say the least. But August 2nd, I'm good to go.
Yeah, so August 2nd, the state will give him his building official license. So he's been working with Don Gilman, who we subcontracted with, I believe last September, October. And Kevin was working with Don doing inspections at that time. So he's been a wonderful addition, helping with inspections, and now as he improves his stance with not only the state and the township, he's going to be doing more of all the building stuff, as Don kind of wants to one of these decades retire. So that's kind of where we're phased with Kevin. Kevin, you want Kevin Pauley, Norm Foley, liaison to the board of trustees, Chuck LaFever, vice chair. Chair is Tom Hilbert, then Matt Radosi, our newest member, and Larry Daring. We have two individuals absent this evening, Anne Marie Rich, and then also Michelle Woodruff. Ryan Woodruff, you may be familiar with her. So that's that introduction. If you have anything to add.
No, it's gonna see how it all goes on, you know, how it all flows through with this.
Yeah, there's, when we have cases, that's one thing I think that this commission is always appreciated is the attendance of our building official.
And their input.
Yeah, and just having that background, so that's especially when cases come up, we'll continue to try to arrange that. But then moving on to Mr. Radosi, I think you kind of had a quick moment, but another person I've been running for a little while now, doing the zoning administrator actions. So depending on certain scenarios, I always afford people options coming here, going to the ZBA, depending on what they're really asking. But here at the planning commission, you will see, you'll go through site plan review. You'll have a lot of opportunity for input. I think I'll leave it to the rest of the members to kind of have that internal conversation. But I saw you as a good fit, a little youth, to bring a different perspective, but not even so much more youth, is a sound understanding of the community in which you live and work. So I again, thank you for your commitment to help the planet.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Glad to have you aboard.
Thank you.
And Kevin, we don't want a bunch of surprises in 3 years. All of a sudden, well, how'd they get that?
Yeah, and that's hopefully one of the things as we move forward that may be a natural progression, is that as Kevin moves forward and sees fit, I try to stand back and let him and Don kind of make sure that everything's acclimated.
Yeah, 'cause Don got 30+ years in this stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, he can rip site stuff off the back of his hand. That's what I was like, write that down one time. Yeah, so it's a wonderful, we have a nice tiered system right
Yeah, good.
we extended Don's contract as well, so it's nice to have that oversight through that department. That's nice. Hopefully, maybe one of these days as time progresses, and especially maybe out of the building season, that rush of true permits and active work going on is I'll start getting Kevin more familiar with our zoning and kind of take him on some of the site visits I go on and look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, that helped a lot. Homeowners come in and asking questions. I do this, I do that. I look at your zone, see where you're at.
Mhm.
But every case is, I talked with Kevin quite a bit, and every case is a little different. And that's just the nature of the beast. But it's been a good partnership thus far, so I look forward to that continuing on. But in terms of tonight's workshop, I just kind of wanted to have open conversation. We kind of left it at that. I know I see that Chair Hilbert, you did a site visit. I mean, is there anything to add?
They were just, it's, run very professionally. That particular, I went to the one in Roger City, Mets Cafe. And, it's run very professionally, and everything, if they do medical and recreational. And if you have a medical card, I don't know what you can get so many ounces per month of product. And what if you try to, you can't, like Dr. Shop, because if you go to there and fill out your monthly supply, and then you try to go somewhere else to get more, it's on your license. You have, your patient number shows that I think it was 2 ounces, they said, or something like that, you could get per month, and that will show on your card wherever you got it in the state of Michigan. There's a system that tracks it. So that's as far as the medical part. And the recreational part, I guess there's limits on that also. And I mean, that's not under a patient number though, but the manager didn't really, she seemed to, she said that if they had to do all over again, they probably wouldn't do medical, they would just do the recreational, but I think they opened before recreational was even legal, probably. And they're in Rogers Township, so they're not in the city of Rogers City, but it's, everything's tested. She showed me some of the edible stuff. And right on the back, it says every ingredient that's in there, and it's tested by the state of Michigan. So exactly, what's in there, I mean, I don't know if you know what you're getting, but banking, there is several banks in the state that credit unions that they can bank with, but they have to actually pay, instead of them paying you interest on your money, they have to actually pay to bank their money at that institution. And a lot of this is places in Southeast Michigan, this credit union, I believe. And that's where they, because otherwise it's, you know, it's all cash business. So it's, I mean,
Which is surprising considering the government wants to get us away from cash.
yeah, yeah, it is because, but it's, see, it's a Schedule 1.
Schedule 1 current.
Yes, so it's the same as the heroin and all the real hard drugs, so. As long as it's federally still Schedule 1, then I don't believe, well, I can't say that's not gonna change, because we'll see. I believe it will change, because we're already at 22 states or something,
Connecticut just hopped on to recreational.
so we're almost more than either medical or recreational, and more, almost half the states now. And it's not just like, you know, it's not just the left lane or the right lane, it's, you know, it's business, yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess if there's one exercise, I kind of wonder, in the context of cannabis, what information, what do you want to have in terms of data? You want people to, I mean, I can arrange to people to come and give presentations. How, I guess that's, if there's an exercise that we can continue a conversation, at least have a fruitful one and a direction. How do you see it being laid out?
Well, it'd be good to have a couple presentations, so, you know, we could have a question and answer thing rather than just reading information and.
Because Steve Lappin said, actually, on the insurance side of it, one of his agents, actually, they actually represent just about every cannabis
Really?
dispensary, larger company in northern Michigan, it sounds like. At least he would be a potential valuable source of information from that niche point of view. I mean, I'm just thinking who I can attain quickly, and I mean, because tell you the truth, any part of the cannabis corporation, if you will, they would love to say, if we said we're looking for people to give presentations about cannabis at the planning commission meeting.
Oh, you'd have a pretty long-
Of Alpena,
You'd have a long line, and.
you could have presentations going until 2024. So that could be the first one, who knows? So that's why I want to see what, if you want a couple presentations from, one from the industry side, or, I mean, one from what are your thoughts, so that you can see, because I think, Chuck, I'm not, by no means, there's a lot of benefit to this conversation. But there's always a bad side to every conversation. So, I mean, law enforcement, who knows? I think their biggest frustration with this is how do you test for it, I think. And I think that's everybody's kind of frustration on that end of it. But
what I'd like to see is a cross section. Somebody from the insurance side, I think that's important. And I think because they have an insight into effects and reactions and those kinds of things in the community. I think that somebody from the general populace, just somebody off the street that we could just talk to, or maybe a couple people. And I think that schools are important. And I think we have a representative here on the board, but I think we need somebody else that can look at what are the school systems, administration, what do they think about it happening? You know, what's their attitude about being available? And I've heard a lot of comments already about it being available out of the area, and it's already affecting the school. Maybe Tom can address what they're hearing there, but that's just word on the street and conversation. But I think a cross-sectional kind of thing that we could talk with And then somebody from law enforcement might come and talk with just about how it affects, and if having it available locally is going to solve problems or make more problems. And, you know, I think that's what we need.
How about inviting like the supervisor of Rogers Township to come in and tell us his ways and woes and means of what they've found so far.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe they got something they don't like, or maybe they think they should get something better. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe even
I could
Harrisville.
probably. Yeah, I could probably have two birds with one stone there, because then, the owner operator of Meds Cafe, I think was on the city council at one. There's some political affiliate, so they could buy carpool. But yeah, see it from a governmental somewhere that's, because in, as it stands right now, in terms of recreational, and in Presqu'île, there's two businesses that meet the standard for this new recreational funding mechanism. Whether it be the one is in Onway, I guess, that's one of the micro business licenses. And then Meds Cafe are the two that are in Presqu'île County currently. So, yeah, I was going to adjust that, so.
I think, if I may.
Go, yes.
I think something else that this board should be thinking about also. Supposedly that we do get involved in this and we do get some tax money. And I think this tax money should not go into the general fund. It should go into some special fund that's going to do something special for something in the township, because it's an added type of thing. Now, maybe there's going to be administrative fees or whatever to make sure that this happens legally and correctly. I'm sure somebody's got to put their eyeballs over that, and that's why I like to hear what somebody have to say from another government facility. And, you know, maybe this money goes to parks, or maybe this money goes to, I don't know what, but something that's just not going to go into our coffers directly. Maybe not going directly, but it's allocated to something specific. That's just a thought.
And that's, that would be up to the board of trustees, right? to
Absolutely.
Make that decision. Yeah, well, I mean, we all make recommendations.
Well, we can make the
Yeah, yeah.
recommendation.
I think it's a wonderful recommendation. You could actually kill two birds with one stone in there. You know, if part of the visual concept of cannabis being legal at a state level, and how we're going to make a determination for our community, if part of that is the negative connotations that come along with that, then maybe some of those funds are dedicated to our liaison officer at Thunderbay Junior High. Putting it right back towards, you're using, I think the eventuality, and I love the context of the conversation, but the eventuality is for everybody's lifetime, we're talking about a substance, no matter what your point of view towards it is. For most of our life, it was illegal. And now it seems like it's too much, too fast, you know? And so as time progresses, it's just either gonna accept it, hate it to the day you die, which I made that decision with alcohol. Now I don't use alcohol. And that's where I'm saying a choice is a choice. But our choice, if this is gonna be something that is in our, because it's already, I hate to even put it that way, is if the board allows it in the sense of a potential business, because it's already there. Then how do you move forward from there? And that's where would you want, if that is to take place, this kind of an activity in our zoning, where is the best location for something that would be in one of those 6 licensures? But I think before you even get to that point, you have to have some background from people on, like your arts and insurance, general population in the industry, law enforcement, government, get some of those presentations before you. And see it from some different points of view. You know, I implore everybody, like Jared Hilbert, go up to a dispenser, check it out, call somebody. If you need contacts, I can reach out, whatever the case is. If there's information that you want to have presented or something to share, let myself, Tom, or Denise Klein know. We can get things put together. We can have a structured conversation of what it would look like. Because I see it as an opportunity. It's not a save all of that, but
No, you're just talking about the store, you're not doing like this, the grow houses.
well, no, I think, well, there's 6 different licenses. So part of the conversation that we've had at this level previous is that just recently, the state changed a mechanism. So part of any of the 5 licensures at that point in time was the ability for the local municipality to charge up to a $5,000 inspection annually. Now with the recreational bill that has gone through, the state threw in a caveat of saying, for every micro business that is recreational, they will give that municipality $28,000 in change annually. And so that's either, it can be a dispensary or this micro business, which is a one-stop, they grow it, test it, the whole 9.
Their nephew that works over, he works for Airgas in Traverse City. He delivers to all these grow houses over there. He says it's just amazing the amount of money they actually put back in the community. Not only the jobs, but what they purchase, just keep running. As far as the carbon dioxide, the mechanical end of it.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's,
there's a lot of spin-offs, there's a lot to it, I mean. It's a business. That's really, that's where it's, so when I went to, because I went up to Meds Cafe, and I sat with the owner, and I went in the back room and looked at his like 8 terabyte platform, so he can record all the video cameras for like 90 days. When I learned how thorough the state makes that process, really a lot of the questions, and maybe that would be a good presentation, or somebody really showcase the process from an individual that wants to get into that industry, what they have to go through at the state level, even to come to a municipality and say, would you consider allowing this so I could start a business? That was eye-opening. But it's, when I was there, the owner was actually in the process of, they're building a grow site off campus, a couple miles. And when we got to that site, to my chagrin, there's 3 Alpena contractors that are doing all the work. From building, mechanical, and electric. And I was like, boys are a little out of your jurisdiction, aren't you? It's like, hey, how can you beat it? You're getting paid cash and cash in advance for all materials. I mean, all the little spin-offs that, yeah, you can say 28,000 plus 5,000 that would be a direct correlation to money's brought back to the board and the budget, but it's all the local businesses that are actually winning as much as the municipality. So,
Well, you have Russ Reiner on the board of trustees. I don't see him being a pro, but it would be
I think he brings a unique, his history. He has a unique standpoint, as he should.
Mhm.
But he's a smart man, and he knows that the laws change. And it may not change his point of view on
Yeah.
personally, but professionally, it's gotta be probably as frustrating for him, but more so for him, because like I mentioned, probably the largest frustration on the law enforcement is how do you test for it? You know, because with alcohol, they have a breathalyzer. Now with cannabis, they have to actually draw blood. And then what is the threshold for nanograms? And what is the active, you know? I think that's their, and as it should be, because everything's so new. There's not mechanisms to test easily enough and readily enough, so. It
Right.
was, like I said, I just wanted to know. How do you want to have, if you want to have a couple presentations, bring Denise in, or just have some, look at some of the data that she gave and start looking at some other municipalities? I know that the city took their time, several different instances with this very topic. And Denise has helped them with that process. So Denise is she's our ace in a hole, because she works with everybody. So if there's anything you need, or how do you want to move forward, I guess is the best way, because I want to afford everybody fact and information to make really sound decisions, business decisions moving forward.
And the city of Harrisville, they're allowing quite a bit more than just dispensaries.
Yeah. Well, and
It's all by permit, but
and that's what Kevin's saying.
Yeah.
And that's really when this micro business and these monies came from the state level. Wow, this is 28,000 and change per license. More than 5 and should be given some consideration. So I was like, looking at our wonderful, colorful map, and I'm like, as I'm talking with Chris Lewis, and looking at how much land in terms of forest, recreation and ag that we have some, that we're losing its principal use because nobody's farming. And so I'm thinking, holy toots, if the township could actually just do outside grows and agricultural, that would be a win-win-win, because you're keeping it out in the country, you know, but that wasn't the case, unfortunately. It's just for, that money is just for one of 2 licenses. A dispensary that deals and sells recreational cannabis, and then the micro business that does the same in recreation. But as Kevin's saying, and it's the spin-offs, like if there's grows that are, let's say, the growing license is allowed in conservation and forest rec, and those 2, whatever the case is the permits that we still pull on it. You can still have that $5,000 inspection fee. But then all the local businesses that are being hired to do those work and do those functions. So I'm willing to bring anybody before you to bring in sound data and start looking at it and see what sticks. Start developing a conversation and kind of a thought process of how to move forward from there. And then we can start bringing in Denise.
To help write the ordinance and everything?
Well, I mean, there's no even before that, because there's so many steps that have to be considered. Amending the zoning ordinance is just one step. Amending it, but what would be the recommendation to amend? You know, where would, if let's say it's a grow, where do you allow grows? Because right now, we're already superseded by some of the medical marijuana laws, because caregivers don't have to have zoning approval to grow in their residence. So no matter what, and I'm sure that if I extrapolated how many caregivers are licensed in Alpena County, you can just say roughly 40% of those are probably encapsulated by our population. And so we already have X amount of people that we have an authority that are already doing it, and doing it in residential areas probably as much as anywhere else. And that's their right. But if something's already in the community, is it a benefit to our community just to act like it's not in our community, or to at least figure out where the best locations for a grow? Because I think as time continues on, then Matt and I have a little bit more cotton up top. We're probably just gonna be like, remember when weed was made legal? No, I don't either, because that's, everybody will forget in a few years, because it's a different age altogether. So, and it's business, it really, when you actually start seeing these businesses and talking to the people that are associated, they have their own, it's very similar to the format of MTA's magazine. The Michigan Cannabis Association has their own MTA magazine of changes in laws and resources for, I mean, this is a thriving. The business part of the Meds Cafe connection is a direct correlation to the 40 million or $40 billion riverfront green space that is being proposed, all paid for with cannabis money. So I would rather have our community served to the best of its abilities, and where it's determined would be the safest for our community, and give all considerations and see what it looks like. But I don't want to throw Denise's time and the township's money until I wanted to have this, make some introductions and say, in the next meeting or two, what do you want the format? You want a couple presenters at the next couple meetings, and, you know, kind of give maybe 2 presentations a meeting. And have, if I can align it, get kind of maybe, and not that I want to get argumentative, I was thinking about going from both ends of the spectrum, have counterpoints available right there. But at the same time, I also don't want it to get confrontational, although who needs a little excitement? So,
You need pros and cons, so. is what
you do need pros and cons. Because life is full of pros and cons. But if the pros outweigh the cons, then you just gotta figure out how to make every con as small as possible. Yeah, and so I will, but if there's anything else that comes up, I mean, like I said, there's no shortage of information. You want me to kind of get with Denise and say, okay, we're gonna be basically starting a 101 workshop. And in your 17 other municipalities that you've helped with this very conversation, I'll work on presenters and you work on format. And then we can figure out how to kind of really have some really meaningful conversations.
So what are some of the procedures that she has done?
Oh, yeah. And
But I mean, that's what I would kind of wonder, you know, how she went about presenting it.
Yeah, well, and we're actually, in our conversation with Denise and I, we're doing everything on a very steadfast manner. I mean, we're starting it with just a very obtuse conversation. That's better than, this is the way it's going, and no, I want to have, we've worked well, so let's keep that going. And like I said, I mean, there's 6 different licenses. Are there some you don't even want to consider? I mean, there's so many variables and layers to this onion. But there's a lot of those layers that have no, I say no, who knows, there may be one in some conversation. Downside could be just the logistics side. It could be, you know, the shipping. That was eye-opening through the Lara process when I was at Roger City. Because everything has a barcode from seed to your lips. They could scan, figure out what this was made, which plant this was made from, or whatever the case is. He could even tell me that his driver got held up at an intersection for 3 minutes to lights. They're tracking I mean, it was absurd. It's kind of scary that our state has the capacity to track something that closely. So a lot of the regulation fears that I had before the site visit were kind of like, oh, this is probably the most complicated, well-run, state-operated function I've ever seen. So
Was illegal.
She told me that there is a company that they contract through.
Yeah.
That the state can go on.
Yeah,
And
so-
most of them, I can't remember the name of the company, but
It's
they,
it's a website. And it's actually.
and the state has the passwords to go in and if they want to check what you're
It's a
doing.
state-sponsored website. This is a private business that has already sold their services to the state of Michigan for cannabis trade. And they're in the buy for already the federal contract. These are business-minded individuals that see the opportunities presented. So I mean, as we have BSNA software here, this company set up in a very short period of time, the ability to have farm to table, if you will, tracking capabilities on an interactive live platform.
They're not necessarily pro marijuana, they're pro money.
Everybody is.
I mean,
That's the dream that, like it, love it, hate it. It's an industry. And it's the largest growing industry in the entire nation, I think, right now. That doesn't mean that it needs to sway. I mean, everybody has a point of view. We all do. So, but I want to at least get the fact before you. So I'll kind of talk with Denise. She can work her magic. And with this list of kind of directions of presenters, I'll get a list of presenters that would be willing to come and give discussion.
Well, we had that Bob Stocker.
Oh, yeah,
That was quite a while ago,
that was, yeah. that was-
from Oscoda Township.
Yeah.
Or Oscoda Township, one of those ski camp.
Yeah.
He's now working on his own. He doesn't work with the township anymore.
Doesn't he?
No.
Okay.
He's got his own company.
Consulting business, but wonderful. Yeah, but that's years ago when the township board, we opted out, and I still believe we opted out for the best reasons possible. There was no level of comprehension at the state of how to manage a law that just got enacted. There was no linear writing of between either law, between medical and recreational. It's two different riders, two different platforms. So there's a lot of variances between. But I think at least on because I was more concerned about the regulatory side. And when I did my tour and what the state makes these businesses do and how they control them, I felt like they do all the hard work. This is on the municipal side and the zoning aspect. There's some things to be worked out, but the regulatory side, I was like, everything is. If I went in there and said, I want to see footage from, because that's what the state does, audits them all the time on their video cameras. Because any corner that's greater than like 30 degrees, it's something absurd, has to have a camera. And they, at Rogers City, I think it said he had like 48 or 50 cameras, 24 hours a day. And they have to have, that's why he has 8 terabytes of memory storage, because he has to be able to record 90 days, 24/7 each camera. And the state will just randomly say, camera 37, 8:42 AM to 8:44. Show it, and they have to get it. If they don't, they lose their license. I mean, there's not a lot of checks and balances. They dangle the carrot, and they just have to just say how high it has to jump. So it made me, that end of it made me feel a lot better, but I'll get together some people that would love to give a presentation on both sides of it, be as unbiased in my selection as possible. But people from specific little niches. The general population might be a little bit tough, but you're gonna get that no matter what. Because if this conversation goes to the point of becoming a recommendation and an amendment to the zoning, that would be both the public input at this level and at the board level. So eventually you're gonna have public input. Not saying that you have to wait till that last moment. I think it's best that people to show up. I always implore people to, so I'll work on that. Is there anything else for the greater good? Because if we could, if there's any other questions, I'll stick around for a bit.
Another vice that has become totally legal.
Yeah.
And it's popular. My brother, he's down from Marquette, and he said they have like 6 or 7 there now.
At College Town,
Down.
College Town.
No, it's.
There's some downtown, he said they're like, almost like Myers and Walmarts, they're right across from each other. And he said they're all.
Who shows up late to work every day? That shop. Yeah, they know their product, so, no, no, it's a conversation that we need to have, and it's time that we do have it. Because either way, you slice it. We either accept it and make it where it's acceptable, or it's gonna be completely surrounding us, and then it's just gonna be done illegally,
Mhm.
and it's still done, and we have no control besides legal.
Yeah, you still got people, they drive around your city every day. Get your stuff, come back.
Mhm.
Well, in Harrisville, they're delivering them currently.
Yeah,
Really?
Because-
yeah, there's a billboard of the south end of town
Yeah.
that advertises that. Daily deliveries to Alpena from Harrisville.
Yeah, behind Bob's Muffler.
Yep.
Why do you think they got such a nice paint job?
Why they have what? No, why they have what?
I wonder why they have such a nice new paint job.
Oh.
Hey. It's helping our blighted community on the south side of the South Florida, right?
True.
Is there anything else to be reflected in the minutes that you want me to kind of work with Denise to get back? Because obviously, any cases that come up will set precedent, but I think that a continuation of a workshop is the best way to have.
Well, the more information that we can get,
And you want it hard copy, you want electronic, obviously you'll always get electronically, but if you prefer hard copy, let me know, because then we can make copies and have them here for you.
I'd rather have that, because
You like hard copies?
Yeah, me too.
it's easier to make notes on them. And
I'll admit, I'm old school that way too.
Hey, you know, there is something tangible to having
There
a
is.
dead tree in your fingertips.
Well,
I hug them too.
I mean, you've sent a lot of information. You know, we have City of Harrisville, we have Rogers Township, we have Jackson.
Yeah,
Tim was involved in writing one for
yeah, he's down in.
Oscoda Township, right?
Oscoda or Osage
Yeah,
Township, they're in the process. So we have, well, we know that we have probably the best reference available, but that's the. But that's why I'll let her do her thing in terms of this conversation, and I'll try to bring the presenter. I think that's what I can kind of reach out and figure out some people.
and the city doesn't seem, you know, they have they've awarded their,
Well, they uncapped, so the city currently is only medical.
but they haven't done anything. I mean, they're just talking about across from
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the old Thunder Bay, but they're not really doing anything. I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, we can,
I think it takes a bit for the permits, doesn't it?
everything takes a while, but I mean, usually by the time, if somebody's serious. And they come, and there's been a lot of serious people that have approached me about this topic. By the time they get to that level, they've already invested tens of thousands of dollars and probably at least 2 years.
Mhm.
I mean, they audit these, I mean, and they call family members. If there's, it's,
Background checks.
oh my
and stuff.
goodness. So I mean, one presentation could probably be from the owner of Med's Cafe, just the process. I mean, they could probably told him that he has a cavity in his right molar from the backside. He's like, "It's absurd." I mean, And so.
More
and
than,
You're going through a whole nother licensing, so I mean, they can, it's not a fast process. So.
more than Alexa,
What?
more than Alexa sitting there talking. see?
Next time you see her, ask her to make a farting noise. And I'll leave it there. But yeah, so that's my thought process, unless you guys, I mean, have a different, I figured let Denise kind of keep the conversation going. If there's things that are produced to you that you want in hard copy form, I'll make sure that they're made and available in the office for you. And as cases pop up, they will be first on the docket, as they should be. But subsequently, I just figured let's just
Blend into it.
continue to have a good conversation. I guess maybe that would be something I'll have Denise start on. I'll do just a simple, here's all the 6 licenses that are available. And maybe part of that exercise could say, if we were to approve or recommend this license, where would I find it acceptable in the zone? Maybe that would be a good, simple first. Or not allowed, and this is why. Perfectly acceptable as well. But maybe that'd be a first simple thing, and then she can get all the background, compiled data. I'll get a presenter, maybe just a presenter, because that way you have more time available to have Q&A.
Yeah,
Especially if you do have a case that evening. Because if you had 2 presenters, especially if I went spy, it could be an entertaining meetings nonetheless, but probably not very productive. So that's kind of tonight in a nutshell. So we'll keep on moving forward from there. I'll work on getting together a list of presenters. And I'll just plan on having somebody to give a presentation. I'll get them all together. I'll put them on a piece of paper, and then I'll have the chair pick the order of the people that will present. That way you don't think that I'm sharing this conversation. So we'll go from there. I'll hop back to the IT station. Any questions for me or any requests before our next meeting?
Do we have anything coming up that you know
I'm in hopes that there will be one case coming for you next meeting. That's all I can say right now.
of? Sworn to secrecy?
I hope that there will be a case before your next meeting. Yes. Okay, well, your next meeting date is currently tentatively scheduled for August 9th. I guess we'll get to that point and have a little bit more formatted discussion. Have a presentation, and then maybe part of that coming out of the 9th would be if there needs to be a potential consideration for meeting more often or once a month. We can have that conversation after the 9th, kind of go there. Because the more you stay on top of a conversation, the less that kind of gets messy.
Mhm. Keep it new.
So if we wanted to schedule a special meeting, we could.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, and I think that might actually be something, depending on the interest, especially further into the process.
Yeah.
If I know Denise is gonna be coming up for a function close by, maybe we can get a little better rate if we split the cost of a hotel.
Mhm.
And so who knows, maybe we could have a back-to-back,
Mhm.
but anyways, I think all things are on the table, everything can be considered, but I think the more frequency to a conversation, the more fruitful as well. So. Chair, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Support, all in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Opposed?
Okay.